So the final trailer for It Chapter 2 is now out in the wild, giving us yet another preview of all the terrifying, clown-based action that we have to look forward to. Freaky clowns. And you know that we just have to break this trailer down and take a look at what there is to see. So let's jump right into it and see if we all really do float down there. The trailer opens with some rather ominous sounding voiceover from Mike Hanlon, the only member of the original film's loser club to stick around in Derry after they grew up, stating that when people grow up and leave Derry, they tend to forget what happened there, but not him. He remembers it all. This leads into a rather shocking moment where a frightened man, who I can't for the life of me completely identify, so just bear with me here a second, faces off against the dancing clown himself, Pennywise, looking just as terrifying as always. We then see the losers, all grown up and reunited in a Chinese restaurant back in Derry, laughing and enjoying each other's company. There is one empty chair at the table, hinting at something that fans of the book or the 90s miniseries already know about, which I won't spoil here. Still, a nice little detail though. Mike decides to harsh everyone's mellow by bringing up the oath the losers made at the end of the first film, before the trailer intercuts between shots of the original film's kids and this film's adults, helping to show the audience who is who this time around. And man, I've just gotta say, they have done a killer job with the casting here. Every one of the adult losers fit their younger counterparts perfectly. Even Ben, who by this point has lost considerable weight, looks believable as an older version of himself. Plus, I mean, come on, I'll never complain about seeing Jessica Chastain or James McAvoy in basically anything. Mike goes on to point out that Pennywise is back, and we see what has to be the most horrific set piece of the trailer, with Bill entering a carnival funhouse in order to try to save a young child from the killer clown, only to find himself foiled by all the mirrors and glass walls and such. Ugh, just look at that tongue. I totally didn't want to sleep tonight anyways. Thanks, movie. We get a shot of what appears to be a mental institution, complete with patients freaking the heck out, as a red balloon passes by and Pennywise's voiceover gives us some more exposition, telling us flat out that it's been 27 years since the first film. Which makes sense since in the first film, it was established that Pennywise returns every 27 years in order to feast upon the children of Derry. We get some shots of the losers entering the old abandoned house from the first film, with some shots showing us set pieces from that film, including the old refrigerator that Pennywise was bunched up in and crawled out of like a psychotic Raggedy Ann doll possessed by the devil, and those creepy doors with "not scary at all," "scary," and "very scary" written on them in blood. As the first film taught us, you should never trust a clown's judgment on what is scary and what isn't, no matter how good his penmanship is. Penmanship? Bloodmanship? You get what I mean. These shots are followed up by what has to be a German new wave band's worst nightmare, as way more than 99 red balloons go floating on by. We then get some shots that we've seen in previous trailers and teasers, including Pennywise floating overhead and Beverly entering that one freaky old lady's apartment. Bill then faces off against the ghost specter vision thing of his younger brother Georgie, who is not exactly thrilled about having died. There's a lot of blood, some running, and finally some action shots of the losers dealing with the clown's evil, mind-twisting actions. The trailer ends with a shot of a much more human-looking Pennywise, laughing at something off-screen as cuts and tears in his face make up the red markings that he would come to have as a demonic clown. Also, he has one eye that is just way off-center. Really freaky. This shot is one that makes me wonder how much this film is going to deviate from the original source material. For those of you who don't know, in the original book and the 90s miniseries, Pennywise was actually a weird, otherworldly being, a sort of godlike creature, ancient and all-powerful. Yet here we see Pennywise as a man, in a setting that very much looks like something from the turn of the century, if that old-timey kerosene lamp in the background is any indication. Now, we got some hints at the idea of Pennywise being a human in the scene that was released a ways back, that showed Beverly in that aforementioned freaky old lady's apartment, looking at a picture of the lady's father, who was quite clearly a human Pennywise. Though take anything that you saw in that scene with a grain of salt, since in the book and the miniseries, that whole sequence turned out to just be one big illusion created by Pennywise purely to screw with Beverly. Oh, and spoilers, I guess, for a 30-year-old book? But this shot at the end of the trailer may be hinting at the idea that the filmmakers may be changing Pennywise's origin, which sorta makes sense when you think about it. See, when the miniseries aired, the ending where the losers fight a giant spider was seen by a lot of audience members as being sort of out of left field. It just was really weird considering what came before. In the book, the reveal of Pennywise being such a creature actually kind of works, as the novel was merely part of a larger universe, specifically Stephen King's Dark Tower universe, which links all of his works together. Seriously, Pennywise, or at the very least Derry, are mentioned or at least referenced in numerous other Stephen King works. Pennywise is kind of a big deal. But since this adaptation of It is separate from any other continuity, having Pennywise keep his spider form and godlike status may just be a bit too out there. So maybe in this film we will learn that Pennywise was once just a dude who, through a series of unfortunate events, becomes the evil death clown that we all know and love. Either that or they're going to stick with this whole spider god thing, and this human is merely a vessel for the creature. Either way, things aren't exactly looking super awesome in the town of Derry. That's just what we saw in the trailer for It Chapter 2. Was there anything that you saw that we may have missed? Are you excited to face down your fears once again? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and while you're down there, be sure to subscribe to ScreenRant for even more great videos just like this in your feed each and every day. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you at the movies.